Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that he'll step down as the head of the country's Liberal Party after weeks of speculation that his time in leadership was coming to an end. Now, this means Trudeau will not lead the Liberals into Canada's next federal election, scheduled for October this year, but far more likely to take place this spring. Trudeau also pulled the plug on the current session of Parliament, paving the way for a leadership race. Listen into what Trudeau had to say, followed by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre.
We won't have an election before very late winter, early spring. Then there's the possibility that the Trudeau resigns and then goes to the Governor General and says we need to shut down Parliament, while the Liberal Party then chooses a new replacement, a Trudeau 2.0. And so there would be a leadership race. God knows how long that would drag on for. During
you think approximately in March, no earlier than March as far as you can foresee?
Yeah, probably. And during which time we'd continue to flounder and twist in the wind. We won't have an election.
Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
According to Chinese state media, a powerful earthquake struck Tibet early Tuesday, killing at least 53 people and injuring another 62. The U.S. Geological Survey is reporting that the quake at magnitude 7.1 centered in Tibet at a depth of 10 kilometers, while China recorded it as a 6.8 magnitude quake. Now, the epicenter lies along the collision zone of the Indian and Eurasian plates. It's a region responsible for shaping the Himalayan peaks. In Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, the tremor startled residents, with many rushing out of their homes. The U.S. Congress has formally certified Republican President-elect Donald Trump's election victory on Monday during a session presided over by Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris, who had lost the November contest. The quadrennial ritual clearing the way for Trump's inauguration in 2 weeks went like clockwork and stood in sharp contrast to 4 years ago, when a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in a failed bid to block the certification of then-President Trump's 2020 loss to Democratic President Joe Biden. A New York judge has rejected U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's request to delay sentencing set for later this week in his hush money case. Judge Juan Merchan ruled last week that Trump's sentencing should go ahead on Friday despite his upcoming inauguration, rejecting his attorney's arguments that his election victory should spell an end to the case. Meanwhile, Donald Trump Jr. is heading to Greenland, visiting the Danish territory weeks after his father renewed suggestions that the U.S. could somehow take control of it. The younger Trump is going for a day trip to shoot video content for podcasting and will not be meeting with any government officials or political figures. Now, this is as per reports. Trump Jr. has said he has no plans to join his father's administration, instead intending to stay a key supporter of his father and his agenda from outside. He's especially vocal online, where he often indulges in trolling and sharing memes, and even hosts his own twice-a-week podcast, Triggered with Don Jr. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Monday denied a newspaper report that said his aides were exploring tariff plans that would not only cover critical imports, deepening uncertainty among business leaders about future U.S. trade policies. Trump responded on his Truth Social platform after the Washington Post cited 3 sources familiar with the matter as saying that Trump aides were exploring a narrow approach to tariffs focused on certain critical sectors only. U.S. Federal Reserve Vice Chair of Supervision Michael Barr's resignation gives President Trump an early opportunity to shape the central bank's regulatory policies. Barr said on Monday that he plans to vacate his leadership role on the Fed's Board of Governors on the 28th of February, but stay on as governor with a term that runs through January 2032. Now, Barr's exit from the oversight role leaves room for Trump to appoint someone more aligned with his preferences and policies. U.S. President Joe Biden met with grieving families, attended a prayer service, and stopped at a makeshift memorial in New Orleans. This in honor of the victims of the New Orleans Bourbon Street terrorist attack. Biden and First Lady Jill Biden made their first stop in the city at a memorial that sprung up on the Bourbon Street, where an Army veteran drove a truck into revelers, killing 14 and injuring 30 more. Listen in.
I know events like this are hard, and the shock and pain is still so very raw. My wife Jill and I are here to stand with you, to grieve with you, to pray with you, to let you know you are not alone. The rest of the nation is looking at you as well. It's not the same. We know what it's like to lose a piece of our soul.
Will remove regulations that have prevented cooperation between key Indian nuclear entities and American companies, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Monday, marking a major step forward in implementing the landmark 2005 Civil Nuclear Agreement. The top official of the outgoing Joe Biden administration made the announcement during a public address at the Indian Institute of Technology, or IIT Delhi.
The United States is now finalizing the necessary step, civil nuclear cooperation between India's leading nuclear entities and U.S. companies. The formal paperwork will be done soon, but this will be an opportunity to turn the page on some of the frictions of the past and create opportunities for entities that have been on restricted lists in the United States to come off those lists.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has pushed back against recent attacks from Elon Musk and others over historical child abuse cases in northern England. Addressing reporters on Monday, Starmer criticized those spreading quote-unquote misinformation, saying they should show no concern for victims. While he did not directly name Musk, his comments come after a series of critical posts by the tech billionaire on his platform X. The UK government has announced its plans to criminalize the creation and distribution of sexually explicit deepfakes. Now, the new law targeting the growing problem of digitally altered pornographic images aims to protect victims, especially women and girls, from harmful effects of fake intimate content. Offenders could face up to 2 years imprisonment under the proposed Crime and Policing Bill, which also targets non-consensual intimate image taking and the installation of secret recording devices. The new offences will further be included in the government's Crime and Policing Bill, which will be introduced to Parliament. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed concerns over potential cooperation between Russia and North Korea, highlighting the possibility of Moscow sharing advanced space and satellite technology with Pyongyang. Now, this is according to a report. Speaking at a joint press conference in Seoul after discussions with the South Korean foreign minister, Blinken warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin might be on the verge of reversing long-standing policies by accepting North Korea's nuclear weapons program.
Now, this is a two-way street. The DPRK is already receiving Russian military equipment and training. Now, we have reason to believe that Moscow intends to share advanced space and satellite technology with Pyongyang, and that Putin may be close to reversing a decades-long policy by Russia and accepting DPRK's nuclear weapons program. We condemn the DPRK's missile launch just today, yet another violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions.
North Korean state television has released footage of its latest missile test, claiming it successfully launched a hypersonic intermediate-range missile designed to strike targets in the Pacific. Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un vowed to expand his nuclear arsenal to counter rival nations. Now, the launch detected by South Korea saw the missile travel 1,100 kilometers before landing in waters between the Korean peninsula and Japan. This development comes a week ahead of Donald Trump's return as US president. It also follows a year of intensified weapons testing by Pyongyang. France has confirmed its first case of the new Mpox variant. This is according to the country's health ministry. Now, the patient, a woman from Brittany, had contact with two individuals who recently traveled to Central Africa where the virus originated. Health authorities are now tracing potential contacts and are also investigating the source of the infection. The new form of Mpox, known as the Clade 1b variant, has already been reported in neighboring Germany and the UK. It's also tied to a global health emergency declared by the WHO in August 2024. Russia says its forces have captured the town of Kurakov in eastern Ukraine, south of the key logistics hub of Pokrovsk and the nearby village of Danchesk. Moscow claims this will speed up its advance in the Donetsk region. Ukraine's military spokesperson has confirmed that as of Monday morning, Ukrainian forces were still engaged in battles with Russian troops in Kurakov. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said nearly 15,000 Russian troops have been killed in 5 months of fighting in Russia's Kursk region. Taiwan's military has conducted drills on Tuesday, simulating what it would take to defend the island if it ever was invaded. Army attack helicopters, paratroopers, soldiers and tanks took part in the exercise that saw them storm buildings that had been occupied by enemy forces. Listen in.
以我们现在目前的装备的话，我们会是借由营部的陆航官实施路面的通联，所以是由他引导空军部队，我们的陆航部队与我们的地面部队实施火力的协同。